In this lecture, we're going to talk about the major biomes all over the globe, and this map really shows those biomes themselves. We're going to talk about tundra biomes, boreal forests, temperate forests, Mediterranean, tropical rainforests, savannas, and grassland biomes. This is a nice video here from PBS, and it really describes what past biomes may have looked like. In fact, it's about Arctic dinosaurs. And that may seem like a bit of a misnomer because we think of dinosaurs as these cold-blooded organisms that need to live in these tropical environments, but indeed past biomes were considerably different than they are today. And so this is a very good illustration of what these past biomes may have looked like on Earth. They also examine leaf fossils, and they try to use these and really show how leaves and other fossils can be used to recreate past biomes that may have existed 100 million years ago on Earth. We'll also see that these biomes are inhabited by a variety of organisms. These organisms have evolved to occupy these certain niches, these certain biomes, and each one has a range of tolerance that it can live in. It needs a certain amount of water, certain temperatures, certain breeding habitats, and these things are all controlled by the evolution of these biomes over the past millions or even billions of years. All living organisms have requirements in light, in water, and salinity, and nitrogen, and shelter, and all of these things can be met by the biomes in which they live. And so this graph here really shows that you have a population of butterflies here, and it has this optimum range where it exists in this particular biome, and as you move away from this optimum range, you're not having as large a population because they have not evolved to live in these other types of climates. And all organisms have these tolerance levels at which they cannot survive anymore. And these are going to be controlled by a number of different limiting factors that have controlled where these organisms are found on Earth. And these things have evolved over millions and millions of years to live in these particular types of biomes. This video describes a very unique adaptation of this wood frog in Ohio. This frog is able to tolerate conditions that are very, very cold, some conditions that we have here in Ohio and in other parts of the Midwest. This organism actually can freeze itself in the wintertime and then basically come back to life in the springtime. So this is a very unique organism, and this video really shows how it works. It's a very cool organism that has evolved to live in this particular biome. These are some examples of the terrestrial biomes that we're going to study today. The tundra biome that you might find in Alaska, tropical rainforest that you might find in the Amazon, boreal forest that you might find in northern Canada, savanna that you would find in southern Africa, desert biomes that you would find in the Sahara or in the southwest of the United States, and Mediterranean biomes that, as the name suggests, you would find around the Mediterranean Sea. And we have to remember that there are a number of specific factors that control the biomes. The angle of the sun as it strikes the earth, ocean currents, the relative placement of the land masses next to large bodies of water, semi-permanent low and high pressure systems, air masses, winds, storms, jet streams, altitudes, and mountains. So all of these things are going to affect the different biomes all over the globe. So the first biome we'll look at is the Arctic tundra. As this map shows, the Arctic tundra are found only in the northern hemisphere, the far northern latitudes of the northern hemisphere. The only exception is the alpine tundras that occur at higher elevations of mountains, and these can occur in the southern hemisphere. An example of an alpine tundra in the northern hemisphere would be Logan's Pass in Glacier National Park in Montana. So that would be located about right out here. This is one of the national parks that I really have encouraged all of you to visit. So when we describe biomes, we're going to look a lot of times at these climate diagrams. And the climate diagram is shown right here. Average monthly precipitation is given here in blue, in centimeters, and average monthly temperatures is given right here as this line plot in degrees Celsius. Down here are the different months, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. And so you can see for January, they're getting about 1 centimeter of precipitation, and the temperature is about minus 28 degrees Celsius. Tundra biomes, as you can see, receive very little precipitation, usually between 10 and 25 centimeters annually. The soil of these environments are very poor. They formed when the glaciers retreated about 17,000 years ago, and they also contain permafrost. Permafrost itself is permanently frozen ground, and so some of this ground stays frozen all year long, and as a result it really interferes with the drainage of surface liquids, and so in the summertime this soil becomes very waterlogged and it's very soggy. You can see from the picture there you have a flat topography. From the climate diagram, the temperatures can get very cold in the winter months. Major organisms that you would find are shrubs and small conifers. You're not going to find large deciduous trees here. Most of these are going to be lichens, mosses, and grasses. As far as the mammals, you're going to find hares, muskox, caribou, like you see here in this picture, and a large number of migratory birds who migrate to these areas in the summertime because there's abundant insects for them to feed upon. And this video here shows about the summer migratory birds and how they depend upon these Arctic tundra biomes for their breeding habitats and for raising their young in the summertime. The next biome is a boreal forest biome, and these occur just south of the tundra type biomes. These again are very cold biomes. There are no boreal forests in the southern hemisphere. The winters can be very severe in these locations. The precipitation varies, but generally you're having less than 50 centimeters of precipitation per year. There's numerous ponds and lakes in these biomes, and this was caused by the grinding of the ice sheets during the ice ages and the deposition of the water as it retreated. You'll see here very small conifers or evergreen trees live in these biomes. You're not going to find the deciduous trees are not going to be located in here. The conifers are adapted to these biomes because the needles have minimal surface area that prevents water loss, and they also have a waxy surface layer that prevents water loss by evapotranspiration. They're also evergreens, so they're quick to resume photosynthesis when the summer comes. The summer is a very short time here, so they have to be ready to do photosynthesis to make those sugars so that they can grow, they can reproduce, and so that's why they are evergreen trees. Again, you'll find similar animals here: caribou, wolves, bear, moose, lynx. You'll also find the migratory birds in the summertime. They use these areas for breeding, for raising their young. There are very few amphibians and reptiles that you'd find here, and again, that's because the temperatures can become very, very cold. The soils themselves are very acidic. They're very poor soil, and again, you're going to have permafrost that's going to limit the infiltration of a lot of the water, the surface water. Temperate rainforests are found all over the globe. A very good example is the Pacific Northwest near Seattle, Washington. This is a temperate rainforest. The precipitation is very high. You're really going to get between 200 and 400 centimeters of precipitation annually. Again, a good example of this is the Pacific Northwest in the United States. This has a close proximity to the Pacific Ocean, and so the temperature itself is very mild. You can see here from the temperature curve that even in the winter times it doesn't get very cold in these areas. The summers themselves are very cool as well. It gets up to, in this particular biome, about 15 to 18 degrees Celsius. As a result of this, you have cool temperatures all year long, so the soil itself contains a lot of organic material, and that's because the microorganisms in the soil are unable to break this down. You can see all this organic material here because the temperatures just aren't high enough for them to be metabolically active in breaking those down. So you have a lot of organic material coating the trees, coating the floors of these biomes. The dominant plants that you're going to have are large evergreens such as hemlocks and firs, but you're also going to have a lot of mosses and ferns. You're going to have a lot of deer, amphibians, birds, and reptiles living in these areas as well. So here we see the temperate rainforest biome that extends clear up here into British Columbia from Seattle, Washington, and even down into parts of California. This video describes what these temperate rainforests are like and how humans have impacted them over time.